So that's why we 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 can work aging the Chardonnay that is normally so difficult.
Right.
So is the area where we have the Chardonnay that is very peculiar because it's just a borderline with the so behind Monjardin, no more vineyards. So it's just the limits.
Yeah,
So the
I guess just
peculiarity of
reading on your site, it just seems that you're in this beautiful position where you're protected by the mountains. There's a natural coolness that seems to exude all over the vineyards, which is, as you pointed out, so different from the standard Spanish experience, where there's no such thing as coolness. So it's a
yeah,
very unique mesoclimate that you have.
it is a sport. So
Yeah.
it's not where we have the reds. We have different areas where we grow the vines. But especially the point where the Chardonnay is very, very, very special.
Excellent. Well, it's bang on 7 o'clock, so let's start to kick things off. Everybody, welcome, particularly to Sonia in Navarra in Spain. I'm excited about tonight because these wines Lou acquired for us really on the basis of extraordinary value and a very impressive array of awards. So this is as much an exploration for me tonight as it is for our customers, although already there's been significant demand on the site just by showing them and just doing a small note on them. So I'm going to hand things over to Sonia to walk us through, firstly, just some quick background on the winery and the region. So let me see if I can make it work again. There we go. Does that work for everybody? Okay, Sonia.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us in this presentation of our winery. First, I would like to explain where is Navarra situated in Spain. As you can see, we are in the north of Spain, pretty close to France and under the Atlantic influence. So as it seems from the map, everything very close, there is an enormous difference between the north, Navarra, Basque Country, Atlantic, Galicia, this area, where, or Ribera de Duero, is Navarra, Rioja, Ribera de Duero, all this area is under the Atlantic influence. It means that the wines have a more natural acidity, so can be preserved and aged for longer time than the ones from the center of Spain or from the ones from the Mediterranean area. Why? Because here in the north, the difference in temperature when the grapes are maturing is the gap between day and night is very, very important. So we can have during the day here in Navarra 30 degrees Celsius during the day, but at night we don't have normally only 15, so half. So this make the grapes recover, get more flavor, get more acidity, natural acidity, and can be, so that's why normally in this area in the north, in Navarra, Rioja, Ribera de Duero, in this area, normally the wines used to be kept at the winery and they launched on the market when they were reservas or grand reservas. Nowadays, people is more focused on fruity wines, but always considering that the importance of keeping the wines on the cellar or in the winery because the acidity that provides more freeness, more clear in the mouth, and we can say that is more elegant. This is respect to the area. Do you have any questions about the area? More or less people know about Spain.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in your part of the world because we see quite a lot of the Mediterranean wines here in Singapore, and then of course Rioja. But Navarra has very little representation in this part of the world.
Yeah, well, Navarro is a big region, but a small production.
Mm.
We are, well, even part of, because part of Navarra is the Rioja, the vineyards. So the production in Navarra, half is Dio Navarra and the other half is Dio Rioja.
Right.
This is something related when the Dios were associated in Spain in the 50s. So as Rioja is a small region, they took part of Navarra, part of Álava, and part of Burgos to create a big Dio.
Right.
So that's why the rest of Navarra is a small part. So that's why it's not such known like Rioja.
It also is quite evocative. I like to watch, my Spanish is very bad, but I like to watch some Spanish. There's a Spanish television series set in Navarra, and it's beautifully shot. It's from a series of novels. Sorry, just a second. What? Lala move? Yeah. No. No, I can't. I'm online now. Sorry, mate. Okay. Sorry. It's a very late Lala move driver. There seems to be this beautiful, quite spiritual part of Navarra. It's very steeped in tradition, and the people are very proud and independent from any other part of Spain. So I find Navarra very compelling as a place, very much so personally. Shall we move to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this is about the Navarra, just included the Navarra region. As you can see, the north of Navarra, the upper side, is mountains, because here we have the Pyrenees. So the Pyrenees is, to give you an idea, is one of the mountains is 2,000 meters high.
Great skiing there.
Yeah, from here, that is the Ebro, River Ebro.
Yep.
Here is Rioja. So this is the lower part.
Over here.
And here is the highest part.
Got it.
So in this area is where we have Dio Rioja and Dio Navarra. We are just here on the frontier.
Here, where the arrow is?
With Rioja,
right.
Here.
Okay.
Here, just here. In the blue, on the blue area is where Monjardin is. Just 20 kilometers from the capital of Rioja, Logroño.
And the other thing that Navarra is quite famous for is the running of the bulls, something which I would never embark on as a holiday pursuit personally, but they tell me it's something that a lot of people like to do. I couldn't think of anything worse to do on vacation than be chased by a whole bunch of bulls.
Well, in Navarra, in Pamplona only.
Pamplona, yeah.
It is the capital. There is a very important festival where about the running of the bulls, the toros, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
It's 7 days, crazy days for everybody.
Yeah, my idea of high-risk vacations are bad room service. It's about as risky as I get. Right, on to the wines. Sorry, just a sec. So we're looking today at the Reserva 16.
So should we start with the Rosé to taste?
Sure. Let's go to the
next one here is what we have.
So that's our jar number 1. Everybody who's got their wines.
Well, I would like to explain the people that is here. Monjardin is a family company, and the more important part of in our philosophy is the vineyards. We take a special care on growing and conditions of the grapes. For that purpose, we have in total 220 hectares but not in the same area. As I explained before, is Navarra is like different valleys surrounding mountains. So there is an enormous difference between one valley and the other one. So the one that is just on the limit with the Basque Mountains is Monjardin. This is the situation of Monjardin. Monjardin is the name of a mountain. The mountain is 1,000 meters of altitude, and in the slopes is where we have the Chardonnay. This is the coldest area for us. Going down, we have other areas just near River Ebro, totally different sound, terroir, and climate. In this area is where we have the red grapes. So in 20 kilometers, we can find totally different climates. So we planted the vineyards depending on the grape variety in the different plots. So the Rosado Garnacha is not in the coldest area, it's just in the medium area. We have here in this wine, I'm going to taste with you. This is the wine. This is the label. Here we have Garnacha.
Yep.
Garnacha is a grape quite common in the Mediterranean and in Europe, but as Tempranillo or as Chardonnay clone, you can choose different kinds of Garnacha. Here in Navarra, used to have in the ancient times a Garnacha that is very light. This is the one we are using for our wines. It's complex, elegant, and as the weather is not so hot, here the Garnacha is more like a fruity, elegant wine. It's not so body as the ones like in the center of Spain, La Mancha, Albacete, Cariñena. They are very sunny.
There's definitely less evidence of that big sun baume ripeness in the Garnacha. It's a little bit more nuanced, I think, a little bit lighter than the Garnachas that I'm thinking of in the center and the south. What percentage Garnacha is this relative to the Cabernet?
Well, mainly is Garnacha, could be about 70%.
Right.
The Cabernet is, we only add a little bit of Cabernet in order to maintain. The Cabernet normally is the backbone of the wines. Is the structure of the wines. It's just to maintain, to preserve more time with the same color, with the same structure, trying to avoid laying down the wine.
Yeah.
So this is the only purpose, to add a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon. Mainly it's a Garnacha, a very fruity, nice.
I like the dryness of it. It's clearly a style around the world. I mean, even the Australian Rosados over the last 10 years have evolved enormously towards a much drier, sort of straw-like component. It's definitely been something that consumers are asking for. The other thing to note, guys, is that this wine has the Medallo Oro from Mundus Vini. Mundus Vini is a relatively important competition in Europe. We don't see much of that here, but certainly Monjardin has had some really good showings from Mundus Vini in the past couple of vintages.
Well, here in something about the sugar you asked. Here in Spain and France, normally we don't add sugar. Normally the wines that we love here in Europe are dry. Natural sugar that remains after fermenting. We normally, maybe in Germany could add a little bit sugar because the acidity is too high. But I mean, here in Spain, normally they ferment the wines and the residual sugar is what it is.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is the consumer taste certainly in the new world, rosés in recent years, they wanted just something riper. Yeah.
This is the reason. That's what I explained. So that's why Garnacha is a grape, that seems to be sweet, but the analysis that you have them, it's totally dry.
Yeah.
But it's very gentle, the Garnacha. So that's why it seems to be sweet, but it isn't.
That's actually a really good word to use. It has a gentleness about it. You're absolutely right. That's a spot on definition for it. Well, looking at timing, we should keep things ticking on. So shall we move to the Reservoir Chardonnay now?
Yes, I think so. Okay. This one.
Yep. Guys, the one we've got tonight is the one on the right.
So this is the Chardonnay Reserva.
Yep. Although we have the 16, not the 18 on the PowerPoint.
16.
Yeah.
Well, here it sounds strange, but from every slope of the mountain, we elaborate a different Chardonnay. The one that is facing south is the one that we make the Chardonnay an oak. With the other two slopes, we made a barrel fermented one, and in the top of the slope, we make the Chardonnay Reserva. So this one is made in a very special slope. Why? Because here we consider that we have a production very, very low. It's about 4,000, 5,000 kilos per hectare, which is half of a normal production. So it gives us a very concentrated mass and with a very good level of acidity and sugar. It permits us to preserve this wine for years. But not only 1, 2, or 3 years. I am speaking about more than 10 years. That you will see if you keep it, that is moving and getting complexity.
What's quite impressive. Sorry, Sonia. What's quite impressive is the style. You can recognize that softness that comes through in the Rosado. You can see it again in the Chardonnay. It's definitely, it seems to be a house style, this beautiful warmth, sort of mellow kind of components and characteristic, which is, I'm really liking that aspect of it. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm getting too excited here. Please carry on.
No. It's okay. It's perfect. Well, this page is not for the Chardonnay Reserva.
Correct.
Don't you have the other brochure?
Let me see if I can find
it. Because Chardonnay. It's the other brochure, the other one.
It's the other one. We don't have the picture. Yeah. So maybe you just want to tell us what altitude the Reserva Chardonnay is at, the vineyard itself.
Here this is the cellar. You go back, please. Did you go back?
Yep.
Here is the cellar where because it's a very peculiar way of the barrels. No, go.
Oh, the barrels are right at the end. You want me to find those now?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Here is the picture of the cellar where we age the Chardonnay barrel fermented. This one. I want to explain, this is not a normal configuration of aging the wines. Why? Because as you can see, all the barrels are in one layer. We introduce here the mass that remains doing the batonnage for 6 months and then remains in the cellar for 1 year or a little bit more. So that's why the barrels are in this position. As you can see, the quantity of this wine is not very big. The altitude, you asked me about the altitude. It's 600 meters of altitude.
Okay.
Remember that we're pretty close to the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
So the wind that comes every on the afternoons is very, very cold. So here permit us to age the wines for a lot of time. Afterwards, in the bottle is kept for 2 years before reaching the going to the market.
What kind of oak do you use for the Chardonnay?
It's French barrel.
French?
Allier.
Okay. New and
Allier.
new
Yes,
and
we
used?
always use new. New, no, always new, because we need to ferment there in a little flavors from the oak from the barrels, and in the end, remaining there is more elegant. The French barrels, the taste, and the American oak that is more powerful.
Yeah,
For reds, American wood is perfect.
For the whites, it's a big investment to make.
So the balance again.
Yeah. That's quite extraordinary that it's all new French oak, given its relatively moderate price point. It really, I'm not quite sure how you managed to pull that off at this price level, but it's great.
Well,
great.
You know, we are producers. This is the difference. We are producers. We don't buy grapes. So that's why we have every year a production to make wine.
Yeah.
So we need to move forward. You just buy, you can buy from time to time and put a really high price. But we are producers.
Okay, shall we move to the Garnacha, which is number 6, guys, in your glass jars? Is that the format you want, Sonia? Garnacha next?
Yes, we can move forward.
Am I going the wrong way? Yeah, I am.
Going back.
There we go.
Sorry, I'm getting confused. Number 6 now, you're saying?
Yep. Just in terms of structure, Janari,
yes,
it's
number
just
6.
a little bit softer. It was in the wrong position.
Going back.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Here. Stop. Here is Garnacha La Cantera.
Yeah.
This is the label.
You have that number 5 is the Garnacha.
No, number 5 is the Merlot. Number 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
So Sonia, can you tell us the Challenge International Oro 2020? Is that a European-based competition as well?
Well, we are pretty close to France, so there are many events and wine fairs and international tastings in France and in Germany. So normally we are asked to send some samples to know the different areas of Spain. Yeah. We are pretty happy to know that our wines are always very well recognized with gold medals and good points, very good points. Well, here we are with the Garnacha. This is a wine from the indigenous grape of Garnacha in Navarra. This is something that I want to make clear, because sometimes when you try a Garnacha from Spain, most of them, because the biggest production is in Cariñena, in Albacete or La Mancha, or even in Priorato. But then there the production is higher, and it's Garnacha Tintorera. It's totally different to this one. Here in this Garnacha, the skin is very light and it's lovely to eat. Garnacha Tintorera is totally different. The skin is very thick and it needs a lot of sun to get mature. So that's why the taste of the Garnacha Tintorera is totally different to this wine. This one is light in color, but the most important thing is the pleasant mouth it has, the wine. So it's very elegant, it's very easy.
And again,
it's
that
very
sort
easy
of
to drink.
that sort of soft gentleness, that characteristic comes through really well in the wine. Sort of steals out. I'm thinking it has some of the characteristics of what I think Gamay sometimes shows in France. It has this beautiful round unctuousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the producers in Chardonnay de Pape make this style of wines very gentle and very old style. Not too much oak time because it's only 6 months.
Yeah.
Because we consider that it's important. The taste from the grapes is one of the peculiarities of a winery. We don't want to make all the wines the same. We want to preserve the flavor from the grapes, from the vineyard, and from the climate conditions. So even all of them are made here, they are totally different. So the thing is to preserve the special conditions of the grape and on the variety.
It's very hard for me as a newcomer to this kind of style of Grenache to try and pick the cellaring curve for it. How would you see this in terms of cellaring?
In terms of the celery,
Yeah. How many years do you think
What
this
do you-
would, how many years would this take to reach a maturity, or is it something that one approaches relatively quickly after release?
no, I think it can be a store because it has 6 months in barrique, so it's not the ones like they are 1 year or
Yeah.
even more. But you can store this one for 2 years, no problem.
I'm really thinking in our climate.
It's more like a Roble style.
Yes.
Do you understand the
Yes.
denomination Roble style?
Yeah.
So this is the style, a Roble style, where we have in one hand the fruitness and the touch of the barrel is very low.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm actually thinking it's the sort of thing, Jacob, it's all new barriques, question on the barrel. I'm just thinking it's the kind of style that in our climate, we would chill this down a little bit because it's so soft and gentle. Slightly cooler in our climate would be the way to handle this Grenache, I think, to show its best.
in Singapore with the temperatures you have, guys, with a little touch of coldness, it will be ideal to drink there because I've been there and I remember drinking a body wine and it's difficult because a body wine with a lot of barrel you cannot put in a little cold temperature.
Yeah, it's and the big tannic structured wines, of course, if you make it cold, you lose everything. So it's a delicate balance. That's why I think this kind of a style of Garnacha is perfect for here. I really
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, I think,
this can be very suitable for the climate in Singapore.
Okay, where do you want to take us next, Sonia? Shall we let me know which of the styles you want? The Crianza, or do you want to do the Merlot next?
No, I would like to have you have next Tempranillo Los Altos.
Tempranillo, sure. So that's number 4, guys.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find the slide for you.
This is Tempranillo Los Altos.
Yeah.
Here you have.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to start with 3 Crianzas. That is the Tempranillo, is the Coupage, and is the Merlot. The 3 of them have the word inside the label that is Crianza. It means that the wine has been in barrel by law, has been 12 months, 1 year minimum. The difference on these 3 wines is the grape. Here we have 100% Tempranillo. In the other one we have a blend, and in the other one we have a Merlot, 100%. So why do we do these things? Well, we consider that the style of the three wines is totally different for the different moments, for a different style. This wine is 100% Tempranillo, but it's Tempranillo from a very nice area, not so far from Monjardin. So it's not a normal Tempranillo from Spain with very hot climate. This is a Tempranillo, lighter, and really round. Also, it has been 1 year in the barrels, but it's really round, totally well balanced, and it seems to be also nice to have a little bit colder. This is one of the wines that permit 90 degrees, for instance, no?
Gotcha. Yeah. It's interesting if guys to compare number 4, which is Los Altos, which number 3 is also on your screen, the Crianza, because the styles are very different from each other.
Here you feel the barrels, no? Don't you feel the barrels? Here we start with the dryness from the barrels. So you need something to eat. You feel that you need something to eat.
Yeah, there's that chalkiness.
But in the end, but in the end it's round. So it's not something that difficult in the end. No, it's totally round. This is Tempranillo. Tempranillo is always like that.
For me, the Crianza, that's jar number 3.
A beautiful vineyard where we have this.
Yeah,
this is a beautiful vineyard.
It's interesting because the structure of the wines, the Los Altos versus the Crianza, very, very different. Has a completely different story to tell. Obviously, they're different. Yeah. Obviously, 40% Cabernet and 40% Tempranillo in the Crianza, and 100% Tempranillo.
What people can do at home is to leave the glass with the bottle and then have another glass with the Crianza.
Yeah, that's what I'm encouraging people to do. So the Crianza is number 3.
Then they can compare the same time.
Yeah.
How different. And then then afterwards they can choose. For me, it's clear they can choose the food for this wine, or they can choose the moment. Yeah. It's a different moment.
You're right. So the main differences, guys, is that the Crianza is equal parts Cabernet and Tempranillo and a little bit of Merlot. Los Altos.
This is the Crianza?
That's the one, yeah. And the Los Altos, number 4, is 100% Tempranillo. The other difference being that the Tempranillo Los Altos is 675 meters versus 475 with the Crianza. So I'm guessing slightly warmer exposure in the lower altitudes, slightly more ripeness.
Yeah, because we are going down to the river Ebro. So we are going down. So Tempranillo is Chardonnay is on top, Tempranillo is in the middle, and Cabernet is down.
Right at the bottom.
You see? So to get mature, because Cabernet is the last one to mature. So you need more sun to mature, more temperature.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put Cabernet at 675 meters as a rule. I think it would. I'm not sure it would survive particularly well.
Rob, there's a bit of confusion here. We haven't been paying attention, obviously. So we've just had the Tempranillo, yeah?
Number 6.
Los Altos.
No, number 6 is the Grenache.
Don't listen to Diggle. He knows shit, all right?
No, well, we know that.
We've just had...
You know, one of these days we're going to actually have to. No, we're now looking at wine number 4 next to wine number 3.
Right.
Wine
so
number 4 is Los Altos Tempranillo.
The third one that we poured, to be clear, was the Tempranillo, yeah. 100% Tempranillo.
That's right. That's right.
And now we're looking at it.
We're comparing it next to the Crianza, which is jar 3.
Jar 3. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Right, sorry, Sonia, we're back.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, the party at the Guerradella house, the wheels are coming off by the sounds of it.
No wheels, no wheels.
Okay, so definitely for me, a lot of floral impact from that Cabernet, particularly, I guess, and also a deeper sense of ripeness in the Crianza. But I think for me, what I really love of the two is Los Altos. I love the sort of architecture of the Tempranillo. It has this multi-layered kind of structure to it, and also a deep sense of purity. I really like and it's not a word I usually attribute to Tempranillo, but for me, that it seems to have that clarity about it, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, because for me also Tempranillo is more pure in character. The blend maybe is more powerful, maybe it's for a big piece of meat, it's for another kind of moment, because it's really more powerful. It's not such a big quantity of Cabernet Sauvignon, but you feel that it's bigger. The wine is bigger.
Yep.
The wine is bigger.
I learned from a Riesling winemaker in Clare Valley, Jeff Grossett. He always speaks about flavor going in different angles in your palate, and for me, the Crianza has this sense of roundness. It's kind of lush and seems to move outwards in my mid palate, whereas with Los Altos, it's this beautiful vertical kind of architecture, really beautiful.
I agree with you. Maybe it's what I said. Tempranillo is pure because it's just only one grape, and there is not many points. It's just one thing, and the other one is more complex.
Yeah. Lou, could you help us out with the pricing of the two? I don't have access to my third screen yet.
Okay. Let me work on that.
Thanks.
Give me a second.
Whoops.
Aren't they really cheap, like $1 a bottle or something, Rob?
It sounds like someone's knocked over a decanter somewhere.
Honestly, this rabble here at my house.
Yeah, you've got to choose better friends.
I have to change the law. All right. So the Tempranillo is Los Altos is $32.
Too cheap.
Diggle doesn't do his teeth for $32 anymore. As far as the other one was concerned, that's the
Crianza.
The Crianza that's a Coupage selection, $32. There you go.
Just putting it in context with what $32 buys you in Singapore, they're shooting above their price point. There's no question.
I mean, even that rosé, for God's sake, is $26.
Yeah, really good value.
This is just silly. No wonder I bought this stuff. Good on you, Sonia. Great job.
That's awesome. Sonia, I wanted to ask you, could you define, in terms of the Navarro terroir, what attributes the clay of Los Altos lends to the grape versus the calcareous soil in the Crianza? What particular components do they lend to it?
Well, the difference is because, as explained before, is a valley that is going down. So down you have more calcareous because it's on the nearby of the river.
Okay.
So you have more stones. So the soil is in the middle is more clay, and up where we have the Chardonnay is more mineral.
Yes. What characteristics do they lend? So the minerality of the soil lends a certain crunchy texture to the wine, and the clay would lend more of a fruit component to the wine. Are there specific attributes that you find from the soil? Forgetting about the altitude. Yeah.
The minerality gives really a taste.
Right.
So on Chardonnay, it's clear the minerality. The clay and calcareous is different because it's just to maintain the characteristics of the grape. It doesn't give many flavors. It's more important in these areas, the temperature in ripeness in summer.
So that's having more of an impact. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's more impact.
All right. So maybe, do you want to look at the Merlot next, or
Next.
yeah?
Yeah.
So that's
Good.
number 5. I repeat, number 5 for the Ghirardello house, Cinque, just in case of any confusion.
Roger that. Roger that.
So this is the label.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it on the, yeah, let me just see if I can find it here. There we go.
Here we go.
Deyo. Do I pronounce it right? Deyo.
Well, Deyo. What does it mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Navarra as a region has a long history. If we go back to 1,000 years ago, Navarra was a kingdom and was really related more with France than with Spain. So Navarra belongs to Spain only 400 years. Before was independent and related to France. So that's why the name Navarra is more French. Monjardin is French. So you can find in Navarra many French names. This is the reason, because in the past, the king of Navarra was the king of France. And the Blanca de Navarra, the daughter of the king of Navarra, was married with the Countess of Champagne. So that's why.
That's a great marriage.
So that's why you find different names. But here in this wine, that is very special wine for us, as the name of the town, the name of the mountain is Monjardin, and in top is a castle. We found very old papers that they explain us that in the top, before the castle, there was a ermita, like a little church, called San Esteban de Deyo. This is a very old name, Deyo. And for us, this is a special wine because it's made in the ancient vineyard of the family, a special vineyard for us because it was the favorite of the grandfather. And that's why we wanted to put both names, the very ancient name of top of the castle and the actual one that is the name of the mountain. So
here,
special wine.
Here we're at 575 meters, so still relatively high. And then I noticed that this got the best Tinto Crianza gold at Mondial de Bruce, Brussels. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's just interesting, the collection of medals that you're picking up. There's recognition for the quality that you're producing, but at an extraordinarily good price point. Lou, do you know the price of the Merlot offhand? We've lost him. Well, maybe
I'm still here. Still here. Hold on. Don't panic. It's $35. This is stupid. It's it's 35. I've got to say, Sonia, the structure of this Merlot in a blind tasting, I would never pick this as a Merlot.
Where would you see it, Lou?
Huh?
Where would you place it?
I'd tend to, in a blind taste, I'd get more towards the Tempranillo range of things because it's got a different note to the normal Merlot. There's no plumminess. It's more structure. It's more linear, and it's more minerality due to the soil. You think about the Italian Merlots we've been having recently, right?
Yeah.
Just a totally different profile. And if you went further south in Spain, you'd get a fatter, broader expression of Merlot. So that's why this one's a bit surprising to me. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, very much so. I quite like the swagger of it. It has confidence about it, and it doesn't have that sort of over Huyssen plum thing which, as you
Correct.
pointed out, can
Correct.
sometimes be a little overdone. But you're not getting any overt richness out of this. It's really, really showing well.
Well, let me explain that Merlot is a difficult grape.
Mm.
It's really difficult because the bunch is like one grapes here, the other here, and to get mature in all of it is difficult. So that's why when we decided to plant 35 years ago a Merlot, and specifically in this plot that was very special, as I explained, for the family, we select the best Merlot we found in the market. Thanks to some friends on Saint-Estèphe and Bordeaux, we get a spectacular Merlot. And this Merlot is the one that is planted in this plot. So consequently, it's not a normal Merlot. It's not a Merlot big productions or you can find everywhere. It's a Merlot with a lot of personality. Not
So
only because
very
the plot,
very
it's
site
also
specific.
yeah,
Very specific to the site. Okay.
and also because normally, for instance, you find in the north of Italy or even in Germany, you find Merlot. But as explained, Merlot is difficult to mature, to ripe. That you need a specific plot with very good conditions of sun, very well protected, and then you get the perfect ripeness. So we are very proud of this wine.
Yeah. Está muy bien.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob, I think you're right. It's I think it's got loads to travel. That there's a beautiful innate minerality which will assure something that's
the nose here you have a little more oak, and in this case we have French oak, and you feel the flavors, and then when you move the glass, the nose is wow, terrific.
Very impressive. Okay, so finally let's turn to the Cabernet.
Hey Robert, yet again on that Merlot, they're using 100% new French oak.
New French oak, yeah.
Just extraordinary.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I don't think we've got the Cabernet in the lineup. Have we got it, Sonia? I don't think we do.
In the other brochure is where
it's in the other brochure.
It's in the other one.
Yeah, maybe you could just talk us through it.
Okay.
And
well,
I
will show you the label.
Okay.
We have two lines. One is this belongs to the top wines. Here we have Reservas and Grand Reservas.
Yes, Sonia, I have to apologize. We were going to serve the Grand Reserva, except it was sold out within 3 hours of actually arriving. So someone knew we had the 06 Reserva, the Grand Reserva Cabernet. Someone knew what it was all about, and they lifted the whole lot within 3 hours of me listing it up on the screen. So I promise everyone I'll reorder and make sure we get a lot more next time.
Good. Well, the Reserva line and Grand Reservas is more the classical style of Spain. These wines are more time in the barrels, near 2 years in the barrels, aging, and then afterwards go for at least 3 years on the bottle. So the style is totally different because you find more brightness on the grape, is more like a Christmas pudding, we can say on the mouth.
Spice,
Yeah. You find really black and mature prunes. You find cinnamon.
There's definitely for me balsamic notes on the phenolics of this. It's coming through quite strongly for me.
Here in these wines, comparing with the other ones, in the other ones you feel the fruit, and the barrel. Here, after so many years in the bottle, everything is in one.
Yeah,
everything
you're
is
right.
in one because everything is totally integrated. So you cannot see here is the fruit or here is the, no, everything is in one.
Again, that beautiful softness, you know, it seems to travel through everything that we're tasting tonight. It's just this simple, soft approachability, which is a real defining difference at this price point with a lot of other wines that we look at. It's definitely something
It's
that's
for more a special time or for a special kind of food.
Yeah. How would you compare 2014 and 2015 in Navarro as vintages?
Well, we were lucky on the past years because the climate condition normally here in this area is the harvesting is end of September, October.
Yeah.
And normally it's a time with a nice stability on the weather. We continue with the dryness, which is very important. So it means that we don't have rain to maintain the sanitary state of the grapes.
Yep.
This is the first point, very important. And afterwards, we continue with medium temperatures. So the last moments of the ripeness is very gentle.
Right.
It's similar to Rioja Alta, as we are at the same level.
Yeah.
It's similar to Rioja Alta.
Okay.
So the harvesting moments, that is the most important thing, the ripeness is very gentle.
It's
And
interesting. I was talking at dinner last night. I was talking. In fact, I think Colin is on the line tonight. We were talking about one of the things that makes Spanish wine so exceptional is the quality of the 2014 vintage relative to most of the rest of Europe, where Bordeaux and Italy, for example, had challenging years in 14, whereas the quality that's coming out that comes from Spain and the little that I've seen out of Portugal seems to translate far more favorably. And then, of course, 15 is a unicorn vintage everywhere. All of Europe is 15 is extraordinary.
15 is we can say maybe 15 is more powerful. Maybe it's more powerful. I think it will last more time on the bottle.
Yep.
But I mean, not a very big difference with other years because we are very lucky. Well, we have in the 19 a very low crop, very low, but it was the only problem. Because normally when the wines, the vines get stressed, if they have a lot of production, like the one in 20, we have very good production. So this year probably we have less.
Right.
So this is normal in production. But the important thing for the wine is the quality of the grapes. Well, this is great.
Yeah, it's magnificent. So Lou, sorry, one more price check in aisle 13. Have you got a price check on that? On that Cabernet? I think it's in the 40s.
39.
39. Yowza.
Again,
Wow.
I'm a bit embarrassed by this, but honestly, I've had Cabernets twice the price of this that aren't up there, aren't its match. It's yeah, it's great.
Again, very as you pointed out a bit earlier, the sense of integration comes through in this wine so impressively. Everything sits exactly in the right place. It's really beautiful. So any questions from anybody before we depart? Rob, we're drinking wine number 7, the Cabernet at the moment. Sorry for jumping around, but it made sense to have the right progression. I knew immediately when I was pouring the wines this morning that I'd called it the wrong way in terms of the varietals. So I know it's been a bit of jumping around, but it was worth doing it this way. I'm very happy. Thanks, Sonia.
Has been a pleasure.
So it's almost lunchtime in Spain, so I suppose we should leave you. So thank you so much for your time. Say hello to Olga, and I hope everything gets resolved easily and quickly in Barcelona where they are. And hopefully we can come visit you soon.
Yes, for me it's a nice way to be in contact as we cannot go there and do any kind of presentation.
Yeah.
This is a nice thing. Thanks to the
We'll
Zoom.
do it
Everybody can
again.
be in contact.
We'll do it again for sure when we have some more product. We've gone through the Monjardin stuff really quickly, but yes, Rob, I'll email you the way with the exact formats as how we tasted the progression later with all the pricing and what have you. I'll send that out later tonight. I've got a recording of this, so everybody who missed it can take a more careful look. So,
Okay.
Sonia, thanks once again. It was really